the mental health in the workplace. Work is good for mental health. We need work, especially, of course, if we are in the age group that we need to provide for a family, provide for ourselves. But a negative working environment can lead to physical and mental health problems. Now, what is a healthy workplace? A healthy workplace is one where workers and managers actively contribute to the working environment by promoting and protecting the health, safety, and well being of employees. So, you as employees, as teachers, you can say if your workplace is a healthy one. Now, if you are not in a healthy workplace, usually it leads to burnout. Now, what is burnout? Okay, we have what we call burnout syndrome. It's an occupational phenomenon. Okay, occupational meaning it's only applicable to work. It's not really applicable to relationships. So you don't use I'm burnt out now with my friends, with your boyfriend, girlfriend. No, it's an occupational phenomenon. It results from chronic workplace stress that has not been successfully managed. So, what are the signs and symptoms? So, one, you have feelings of energy depletion or exhaustion. You're always tired. No matter how long you slept, parang pagod lagi, wala kang energy. And then number two, increased mental distance from one's job. Like you don't really care about your output anymore. And three, reduced professional efficacy. Like the way you deal with your peers, with your boss, with your colleagues, it's not really that good anymore. So when you have those, you might be having burnout. Now, this is the important takeaway for this lecture, how to prevent burnout. So we have what we call the 3R approach. First, recognize, then reverse, and then build resilience. So recognize, watch for the warning signs of burnout. Later on, I'll discuss. Reverse, undo the damage by seeking support and managing stress, and build your resilience to stress by taking care of your physical and emotional health. So I like this illustration. So you have to fill your cup because you cannot pour from an empty cup, right? You can give what you don't have. So recognize the first R. So what are the physical signs and symptoms of burnout? So I hope the visual is clear enough. So one, feeling tired and drained most of the time. There's lowered immunity, parang lagi kang nagkakasakit, frequent headaches or muscle pain, change in appetite or sleep habits. So it's either wala kang gana kumain or hindi ka makatulog or the opposite, like sobrang takaw mo na or sobrang antok ka lagi. So those are the physical signs and symptoms of burnout. Now let's go to the emotional signs and symptoms of burnout. There's sense of failure and self-doubt. You're feeling helpless, trapped, and defeated. There's detachment or feeling alone in the world. There's loss of motivation, increasingly cynical and negative outlook, and decreased satisfaction and sense of accomplishment. So these are the emotional signs and symptoms. So again, you have to compare also the baseline personality because some people talaga they're naturally negative. Now if you're the person na before naman hindi ka ganyan ka negative, positive ka pa nga, and then you notice yourself, parang negative na lang lagi na feel mo, you feel helpless when in fact before you're very motivated, then you could be having the emotional signs and symptoms of burnout. Now, if there are people kasi talaga na very nega to begin with, now kung negative na nga sila before and now increasingly more negative, there could also be symptoms of the emotional burnout. All right. And lastly, the behavioral signs and symptoms of burnout. So, yan, withdrawing from responsibilities, isolating yourself from others, procrastinating, taking longer to get things done. So, delay and delay. And then using food, drugs, or alcohol to cope, and taking out your frustration on others, and skipping work or coming in late and early and leaving early. So, Usually, yan, hindi mo yan may miss eh. When you see someone talagang slacking na, hindi naman sila before ganun, or nagiging mas often yung use ng alcohol, or hindi naman nagda-drugs before, 'di ba? So, especially if you know the person before. Now, if you recognize the symptoms in yourselves or in other people, so that's one step na in treating or resolving the burnout. Again, awareness is also always the first step. It's already a step nearer to treatment or to resolution. Now, what do we do once we recognize? So, the next R is we reverse. So, if you feel like you're experiencing burnout, it might help for you to reach out to those closest to you. Be more sociable with your coworkers and limit your contact with negative people. You know what they say, na you're the average of the five people you are always with. I believe there's some truth to it. Of course, when we associate ourselves with negative people, the tendency is for us to have a negative outlook or negative lens of the world as well. So you have to limit your contact with those people and then connect with a cause or a community group that is personally meaningful to you and take time off. So when you feel like you're already burnt out or sobrang drained ka na, you take time off to recharge. Diba, with our gadgets, kapag 20% na lang yan, medyo agit na tayo, gusto natin i-charge para ma-full agad. So likewise, ganun din sa atin. We don't let ourselves become very drained before we take action. So again, these symptoms and signs should be recognized. So some people, they're not really very attuned to their emotions, to what's going on with themselves. So it might be helpful also if we help other people recognize that in themselves. So if you notice your closest friend na medyo nag-iiba na yung behavior, it might help na you make that person feel na you're there, you're ready to listen. And when we do listen, it's best that we don't become judgmental. We just listen, okay? You don't give mga unnecessary comments. And if it's too much to bear, that's what the psychologists and psychiatrists are for. All right? Because, of course, there's special training talaga in handling those kinds of situation. I hope I'm clear. Okay? And lastly, resilience. So, in building resilience, you have to set boundaries. Learn how to say no. So, if you're already burned out, okay, don't overextend yourself. Learn how to say no to requests on your time. If you find this difficult, remind yourself that saying no allows you to say yes to the commitments you really want to make. It is one of the problems also why some people feel burnt out because they can't say no. Tanggap lang ng tanggap hanggang sa hindi na pala nila kaya. So again, it is you who will set the boundaries. Okay? Number two, take daily break from technology. Set a time each day when you completely disconnect. Put away your laptop, turn off your phone, and stop checking email. Of course, a lot of company emails, di ba, wala naman yung time. Dadating sila any time of the day. So, also, part of setting boundaries is that you set the time when you will check your email, you set the time when you will be taking a break. Especially now that it's pandemic, it's really toxic kapag constantly you're reading mga negative updates or negative news or any news regarding COVID. It's really tiring or exhausting if you keep on reading those things. So that's why you have to take some time off social media also. Next is nourish your creative side. Creativity is a powerful antidote to burnout. Try something new, start a fun project, or resume a favorite hobby. Choose activities that have nothing to do with the work or whatever is causing your stress. So it really pays if you have other hobbies, no? Para hindi naman nagre-revolve lang yung life mo with your work so that you don't feel that burnt out. So, kung ano man yung creative activity for you, it's up to you na. Next is set aside relaxation time. So, relaxation techniques like yoga, meditation, deep breathing activate the body's relaxation response, a state of restfulness that is opposite of the stress response. Actually, there are a lot of applications right now. You can try Headspace, Calm. Ayun yung mga applications that can teach you how to do meditation, how to do deep breathing exercises, because it's proven naman na it really helps in relaxing your state of mind. So you can try that as well. Next is exercise regularly and eat healthy. And then I think that's self explanatory. And lastly, get plenty of sleep. Feeling tired can exacerbate burnout by causing you to think irrationally. So keep your cool in stressful situations by getting a good night's sleep. Sleep is very, very important, especially night sleep. Sometimes kasi people sleep 8 hours pero 3 a.m. pala nag-start. So, it's not that healthy pa rin because restorative sleep happens at night. So, I advise them as much as possible, mga 10 or 11, tulog na talaga. So that you wake up earlier and then you'd be more productive. All right? Sleep is very important. Now, if you've done everything and still you feel really burned out, stressed, that you couldn't sleep, you couldn't concentrate, you couldn't function well in your work, you don't feel like yourself anymore, then that's really the time that you need to seek help. All right? So again, the 3R approach: recognize, reverse, and build resilience. Now, in relation to the sleep, I'm surprised kasi that most people don't know about sleep hygiene. 'Di ba? In school, we were taught how to do oral hygiene. You brush your teeth 3 times a day after you eat. So, similarly, there's also what we call sleep hygiene. And you can take a screenshot. There are do's and don'ts for you to have a good sleep hygiene. So first is maintain regular hours of bedtime and arising. So there it must be a routine. So for example, you go to bed at 9 and then you wake up at 7. All right? And if you're hungry, have a light snack before bedtime. Light lang. Okay, you don't eat too much not bedtime. Maintain a regular exercise schedule. So preferably during the day or afternoon, not before you sleep. Of course, we don't want you to be stimulated prior sleeping. Give yourself approximately an hour to wind down before going to bed. If you are preoccupied or worried about something at bedtime, write it down and deal with it in the morning. So we always say you use your bed for sleep lang. And for married couples, you can use your bed for sleep and sex. So yun lang. You can't eat in your bed, you can't read, you don't watch TV, you don't think in your bed, then this is because we want your body to be really conditioned that when you're in bed, it's time to sleep. It's time to relax. And of course, part of good sleep hygiene is keeping your bedroom conducive for sleeping. So keep it cool, dark, and quiet. And these are the don'ts naman. Preferably, you don't take naps na And if you do really short naps lang, like 30 minutes, ganyan, and then you don't watch the clock so you know how bad your insomnia actually is. So for some people that can't sleep, it's not advisable that you have a clock in front of you because the tendency is titingnan mo talaga, o anong oras na, hindi pa rin ako tulog, and that aggravates your insomnia. So you don't exercise right before going to bed, you don't watch TV, you don't eat heavy meal, you don't drink coffee in the afternoon and evening, and if you can't sleep, don't smoke, don't use alcohol to help you in going to sleep, don't read in bed, don't eat in bed, don't exercise in bed, don't talk on the phone in bed. So I know a lot of us are guilty because we do a lot of things in our bed and it's sometimes inevitable. But for you to have a good sleep hygiene, at least try to do those things like watching TV or reading a book in a separate area. Like find a chair or go to the living room if you want to do these things. And who would know, you might have a better quality sleep. So that's it. Thank you for your kind attention.